Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Sunday celebration service. We are so pleased to be back in the sanctuary, and I'm also very pleased to welcome you all who are on Facebook, Zoom, and YouTube. I am Sky Leona. I'm a licensed practitioner here at the Center for Spiritual Living, and we are located in the Live Oak neighborhood of Santa Cruz, and we honor the ancestral lands that we occupy of the Ama Mutsun tribe. Our theme this month is Wholly Holy Uprising. Please join me now with our opening song, I Am the Place, by Eddie Watkins Jr.
Am I strong enough to bear the burdens that sometimes come living this thing called life? Am I wise enough to make the right decisions when I'm standing at the fork in the road? Sometimes I wonder and ponder, only to realize I'm not alone, and there's nothing I have to do on my own, because I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. Will I have enough to do the things I need to do to take care of myself? Will I have the health of mind and body to live a life of grace and wholeness? Sometimes I wonder and ponder, only to realize I'm not alone, and there's nothing I have to do on my own, because I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place.
I am the place where God
You
lives,
are the place.
moves and breathes and has
We
its
are the
being.
place
I am the place
where God shows up. I am the place.
I am the place where God
You are the
moves and
place.
breathes and has
We
its
are the
being.
place
I am the place
where God shows up. I want you to clap your hands and sing it with me. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up.
Eddie Watkins, can I have some more of that? Can we have some more of that? A little more? A little more.
I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am
Good job, brother.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that song. This center is a part of the worldwide global movement known as Centers for Spiritual Living, and we share a purpose, a vision, and a mission with this movement. We have our own centering statement for our community, and if you would, please repeat with me. We are a spiritually progressive community that transforms lives and the world through a philosophy of possibility thinking and responding to life with love. We have a wonderful program for you today, and we're going to begin that with a brief spiritual practice by Reverend Elijah, followed by some more music by Amber Darland, and then Reverend Alice will speak with us.
And so, my friends, we're going to begin our practice by just contemplating these words from Deepak Chopra, and then I will give us a moment of prayer and reflection. And so I want to invite you first to just take a deep breath in, and either close your eyes or just contemplate these words on the screen. Every day, our actions exist on the cutting edge of evolution, the frontier where the mind is caught between caution and curiosity. And so with that, take another deep breath in. As we together just take a moment to remember that there is something greater than we are that breathes our bodies, that we are connected to and part of this great infinite universal presence that we might refer to as consciousness or energy or the universe. I simply call it God. But I just recognize that there is one seamless consciousness, one beingness, one life force that is the very ground of being, the very center of each soul. Knowing that from that one heart, that one mind, all possibility, all creation, all that is unfolds from that one infinite center. And so I just speak a word of remembering that I am part of that each one of us is part of that each one of us is a place where the miracle of the universe itself is bringing itself into the adventure that we call life, into each one of our authenticity, into our call, into our vision, into our choice, into our participation in life. Each one of us is a place where spirit flows into existence. And so let us just be continuously seeking that truth of the authentic nature of who we are as divine beings. And let us continuously not only look for it in ourselves, but look for it in each other, look for that divine participation in the world, and ask ourselves what it is calling from us, so that we may live a life of response, or a life of purpose, so that we can live a life of celebration and gratitude, knowing that we are part of the ebb and flow of this process that we call creation. And so let us remember, my friends, that there is indeed a power for good in this universe that is so much greater than we are. And yet we are part of it, and it moves through us. It breathes us. It beats our hearts. It's flowing through our veins. It's speaking through and living as each one of us in every moment. And so let each of us, and let this community be a place where this power for good moves itself into the world, in everything that we do. And so for all of this and so much more, I just give my yes and my affirmation by saying, and so it is.
Liberate my soul. These times have left me shaken. Faith take a stronger hold. I'm ready to awaken. Release all that was. This heavy weight no longer serves me. Listen and take notice. One voice clearly speaking. We are sacred, we are safe. May peace forever be an offering. We are holy, we are whole. This light burns brighter masses, lighten every step, let fear no longer lead. Lift up our gaze and know that we are free, we are sacred, we are saved. May peace forever be an offering. We are holy, we are whole. This light burns brighter than ever before. We are sacred, we are saved. May peace forever be an offering. We are holy, we are whole. This light burns brighter than ever before. Breathe into the shadows, courage be among us. Find sanctuary, illuminate the masses. Lighten every step, let fear no longer lead. Lift up our gaze and know that we are free. Breathe into the shadows, courage be among us. Find sanctuary, illuminate the masses. Lighten every step, let fear no longer lead. Lift up our gaze and know that we are free. Liberate my soul. These times have left me shaken. Faith take a stronger hold. I'm ready to awaken. Release all that was. This heavy weight no longer serves me. Listen and take notice. One voice clearly speaking. We are sacred, we are saved. May peace forever be an offering. We are holy, we are whole. This light burns brighter than ever before. We are sacred, we are saved. May peace forever be an offering. We are holy, we are whole. This light burns brighter than ever before. We are sacred, we are saved. May peace forever be an offering. We are holy, we are whole. This light burns brighter than ever before.
Good morning, everyone. That is a beautiful song, and I don't know about you, but the video images that Susan Springfield put together in that video are very stirring to me. They really remind me of this journey that we've been on for quite some time. So I want to welcome both those that are in the sanctuary this morning, as well as the folks that are joining us from home. We miss you. We know that many of you want to continue to stay home while we're still in the tail end of this pandemic, but let us know you're here. Comment. Put something in the chat. Say hello to us. It's time for us to begin to reach out to each other and begin to take even baby steps back out into the world. We are talking about this topic this week, which is this month actually, which is Wholly Holy Uprising. And when I look at this topic, uprising has had a certain vibe, wouldn't you say, in our culture over the last year. But we're not talking necessarily about that kind of uprising. We're talking about that thing that we deepen ourselves and we touch that thing in the belly of our soul and we begin to allow it to rise up. And we allow it to rise up from wholeness, from the perfection of our highest being, and we allow the holy practice of spirituality and our spiritual practices of meditation and spiritual mind treatment, we allow those to be the vehicles that bring that wholeness up through all that we've been through. And so I'm going to invite you this month as we have Elijah will be speaking this month. We also have Reverend Tamara who will be speaking this month. And so all month we're going to be looking at the Wholly Holy Uprising and what that looks like in you as an individual as something is rising up within you. Today I'm going to be talking about this adventure that we've been on. We have been on an adventure since last March, And March 2020 I'm talking about, not March 2021, and you all know what I'm talking about. And I'm reminded of Joseph Campbell's work and the hero's journey model, or I like to call it the shero's journey model, and we're not quite ready for that slide yet if you want to go back. I will let you know when we're ready to look at that model in more detail, but for now I want to talk about that journey broadly. If you're like me, you might not really want to think of yourself as a hero or a shero. You might think of yourself as sort of a, ordinary person who's just living their life out a day at a time, doing the best that you can. But what I can tell you is that each one of us is living out a story. We're living out our life story, and as we move through life, we are always the main character in that adventure we call life. And so I want you to consider that this last time period that we've been in is part of the arc of your own personal story. Part of the walking out that your soul is doing, and that not only, as Centers for Spiritual Living, we have spent 100 years doing individual personal transformation. But when we have these culturally worldwide experiences, when we experience these things collectively, it's an opportunity for us to not only do our individual work, but begin to do some work on a collective level as well. And so it's not only is it the individual hero's journey, but it's the story that we're creating as a culture as well, and that all of that will blend together. And we don't know exactly how it's going to turn out. We don't know exactly where we'll end up. But we do know that there are a lot of environmental circumstances that have caused many of us to be reactive, that have caused many of us to change our lives in ways that we didn't anticipate. And so, as we move through this whole month, we're going to be inviting you to do some deep inner reflection so that you can be intentional about your own journey, about your own story arc, because, as the saying goes, the only thing constant in life is change. That we're always moving through change. Sometimes the change is subtle, sometimes it's drastic, like what we've been through over the last year or so. And so when we go through those times of shift, admittedly, you might feel like you're on, and remember this is one of Susan Springfield's analogies where she talked about you might feel like you're on rough seas. But you have to remember that while we're all in the rough seas, we're not all on the same boat. And so you may feel a little bit knocked around by what's been going on in the world and in your immediate family right now. But each of us has our own level of rocking. Some of us have weathered some of these storms that have come through our society more easily and more gracefully. Some of us not so well. I know I've had my moments. I'm sure each one of you have too. It really has been ups and downs as we've moved through this. And so I want to look at Joseph Campbell's model for the hero's journey to really give us a container for which to do some wonderful reflection where we can not only look at this as a community and a world, but individually as well. And so I am reminded that the hero's journey, or the shero's journey, depending upon how you want to name this, is a journey where we move from the ordinary world through some kind of stimulus, whether it be outer stimulus or inner turmoil. We move into very unfamiliar territory, and that territory takes us on a journey, if you will. It takes us to a place where we are unfamiliar and we're trying to get our footing, and we get shaken up. And some kind of transformation happens so that when we come back into the ordinary world, we are changed. As religious scientists, or spiritual livers, as you will, this journey, this process may look really familiar to you. And if I was super high tech, I would take this two-dimensional model that seems to have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and I would turn it on its belly so that you could see that not only does this journey have a beginning, a middle, and an end, but it has an upward spiral. So that when you are moving on this journey, you are finding yourself doing many of these processes over a lifetime. And then when we can reflect on these different processes, these different experiences that have taken us from the familiar to the unfamiliar and back to the familiar, that this has been the growth cycle of our own individual evolution. And given what we've been through with the pandemic over the last year or so, it's also, we can begin to witness our neighbors' evolution. We can begin to witness our community's evolution and our world's evolution. It becomes very apparent when we're in great periods of change. And if you're like me and you've committed yourself to living an awakened life, then sometimes we need some context. Sometimes we need a backdrop to try to make sense of what's going on for us so that we can stop being in that ship that's sort of, we're not able to really navigate or know how we're going to move through this, and we can begin to learn how to steer the ship and which direction we want to go in and where it is we want to arrive. Now, what I know about life is my life never looks that clean as this little chart. And sometimes I don't recognize the different phases. But it definitely, if I look back at the experiences that I've had in life, both the positive experiences and the challenging experiences, they've all moved through some kind of cycle like this. And so I thought I would look at our community's trajectory and how we've moved through the hero's journey as Centers for Spiritual Living Santa Cruz, just to give you kind of an example to see how you can make this model fit the experiences that you're witnessing. And so, if you were part of this community, I want you to think back, or wherever you were, think back of where we were in March of 2020. We were beginning to embark on a really ambitious year. We had all kinds of great plans for bringing the community together in different ways. And about March 15th, everything shifted. And we were told that we could not meet in person, that we had to shelter in place. Now, if you're not familiar with our community, we had never live streamed before. And so we were required to really find a mentor. We were required to reach out and to find someone to guide us through this. And so I found myself looking to colleagues who have live streams so that we could figure out how to do this. And as we reached out to the greater community, we began to learn about different tools. And if you were with us on that first Sunday, oh my God, it was pretty messy, wasn't it? I got very ambitious and we tried to live stream over a number of platforms from my home, and we didn't have the bandwidth. So I kind of looked like this. You couldn't quite make out what I was saying. It was really challenging. But we learned a lot. We learned how to broadcast. We learned how to do different processes to bring ourselves together digitally. I personally hit bottom several times trying to figure out the technology and how to do this thing called community and ministry in the digital platform. And so if you're looking, I definitely spent some time in the tests and trying to figure out the approach. And there was the abyss where I was really lost and not sure how we were going to do this next thing and how we were going to continue to be a community. And it wasn't until we created the tech team that we began to broaden our journey. We began to, I brought in friends along the way, and we began to have a sense of connectedness, and we began to understand how this thing called broadcasting worked, and we began to transform the way we were in community. I would venture to say that our community is somewhere cycling around 8 through 10 on that chart. That we're trying to figure out like what's going to work for us and what's not going to work for us. We're still in the unfamiliar. It's a little more familiar, but it's still not ordinary. We haven't really fully adjusted to it. We haven't fully dropped into what it is that, or how we're going to be in community. And what I know is that many of us have relocated ourselves. Spiritually, some physically, mentally, finding out where we are in this new territory we call life. And so what I would love to do is do a little process with you so that you can individually drop into this process and just reflect on what has happened for you. What has happened for you since March of 2020 when the world changed? And so I'm going to invite you to close your eyes and take a breath and just let me guide you through a little reflection process. Getting in touch with your breath, feeling the rise and fall of your chest, feeling the support of the chair beneath you, wherever you might be, and allowing yourself to scroll back in time, asking your higher wisdom self to bring forth the proper memories and reflections of what was happening in March before we knew we had to shelter in place. Where were you? Who were you with when you first learned that we would have to shelter in place? What were you doing? How did you react? Did you fight it? Did you just go along with it? Did you jump into control and try to get uber prepared? Or did you just roll with it? Now scroll forward a little bit and begin to remember the things that you adjusted to. You might have had to change the way you go grocery shopping. Maybe you needed help to get your groceries because you couldn't leave the house. Thinking about, where am I going to get a mask? How am I going to do this? Scroll further forward and begin to notice all the little adjustments that you began to make, how hard they were at first, how you got used to things, the changes of the people that you were no longer in contact with on a regular basis and who you were in contact with. Think of the challenges that came up for you and how you met them. Were you able to ask for help? Now scrolling forward some more, think of all the new things and ways of being in the world that you were able to figure out. Think about the ways that you adapted. And as you scroll forward even more, think about the different ups and downs that you had as you were continuing to be flexible with the constant changes. And take note. Take note of those little successes that you had along the way. Think about the things that started to work for you. And in this place of reflection, I want you to ask your higher wisdom self to reveal to you one thing that you learned about yourself along the way. Perhaps it was something that you had to let go of, or something that you embraced. What was it that you learned about your beautiful self as you moved along this journey? And now I want to invite you to thank your higher wisdom self for helping you to reflect on what you've moved through over the last 15, 16 months. Thank that higher wisdom self for all the guidance that you were given, the intuition that you developed, the instincts that you were able to get in touch with, the higher learning, the adaptability and the flexibility. And thank your higher wisdom self for the guidance you will continue to have as you walk out this journey. Taking another deep breath and locating yourself wherever you are. I invite you to open your eyes when you're ready. And Stacy, we can change the slide. We are each on our own journey, creating our own story arc. And we have the opportunity to drop into this from a very intentional place, from a place where we can tap into the wholeness within us, and we can get clearer about how we want to walk out the rest of this on purpose. Ram Dass loved to say, I love that quote, we're all just walking each other home. And so what I think he really meant by that is that when we are in spiritual community like this, even when we're there's a couple of you here in the sanctuary, there's a couple of you on YouTube, on Facebook, on Zoom, even though we're still spread out, what I know is that we are supporting each other on this journey, that we have the support of the collective, that not only are we doing our individual work, but that we are beginning to see how we can integrate that individual work with the community work of being in community together and supporting each other. And we have this beautiful centering statement that we say every Sunday, that we are a spiritually progressive community that transforms lives in the world through a teaching of possibility thinking and responding to life with love. And that is our community commitment. But I want to suggest here that as we move through this month of Wholly Holy Uprising and we begin to reflect on who it is we want to walk back out into the world as, that we might want to look at that last sentence and you might want to consider how you want to respond to life individually. You may want to respond to life through joy. You might want to respond to life through creativity. There's something that is unique and genuine to exactly who you are that wants you to be aware of it, so that as you begin to find your footing, as you leave the non-ordinary world and start to walk out into the ordinary world, that you are grounded and centered in who you are and what your part will be as we come back into the collective, as we come back into being in the world together. And so that you may intentionally locate yourself from a grounded and centered place that is in touch with a purpose that is authentic to you. We'll be saying more about this all month. And so you may know that word right away, but you may want to sit with it for the next 4 remaining Sundays of this month. You may want to sit with that a little bit, and we'll be doing some processes on Sundays. We'll be offering some online support. There's the talk after the talk on Zoom. Perhaps we'll be in the garden, sitting in our chairs, chatting. That we'll be in community, supporting each other as we get clearer about our own individual purpose. And that will allow us to do that holy, holy uprising so that we can see the new iteration, the new collective of who our community is and who we will be together. So let's anchor this. This is a beautiful proposition. It might seem like a lot, but a pandemic is a terrible thing to waste. So let's use it. Let's make it ours. Let's allow it to be a beautiful container for finding greater purpose, greater well-being, and stronger community. And let's take that to prayer, shall we? And so I take a breath, and I invite you to put your hand on your heart, knowing that the heart is the center of the being. The heart is the great alchemist of our humanity as it gets in touch with our divinity, that the two are never separated, but they are always working together, like the two sides of the same coin, like the in-breath and the out-breath. There is a deep oneness within each one of us. And so I know that we connect with that oneness, that we allow ourselves to be completely present in this moment with this breath, and then the next. Trusting that this power and this presence is forever cooperating with us, is forever conspiring for our greater good. And so it is from that place of deep trust and faith that we allow ourselves to be open, that we allow our heart and our mind to work together to guide us through this time of re-entry, through this time of transformation, through this time of intentionally deciding what it is that will guide us further into the next phase of our own personal evolution, as well as our community's evolution and our world's evolution. I know for each one that we feel the embrace of that divine beingness that is moving in as and through each one of us, that there is a call to remember our wholeness, a call to live from that wholeness, so that when we look in the eyes of the other, we see the one, and we are reminded who we are and who we've come here to be. So in this place of divine, unitive communion, of prayer that knows no sense of otherness, we simply trust. We trust our intuition, we trust our hearts, we trust our minds, we trust all the resources that are brought forth. For I know that Spirit always supports its work, and the evolution of you is Spirit's work, and the evolution of our community is Spirit's work, and the evolution of our world is Spirit's work. So we give great thanks for this. It is with a surrendered heart that we simply drop into gratitude, knowing that there is always a supportive, powerful place that we can draw from, that comes from deep within us, and we allow it to rise up through us, through our heart, through our feelings, through our body temple, through our mind. And we begin to walk out the rest of this journey intentionally and cooperatively. It is with great thanks that I simply anchor this prayer in the power and the presence that is the one that uses my lips and my mind and my heart and my body, and it uses your lips and your mind and your heart and your body so that we can indeed know God as ourselves and be all in this beautiful journey and adventure called life. I say yes. And together we anchor this prayer in that power by saying, and so it is. Thank you.
All of me designed to perfection. All of me beautiful and sacred. All of me a wonder, expression of the infinite. All of me pure light divine. All of me designed to perfection. All of me beautiful and sacred. All of me a wonder, expression of the infinite. All of me pure light divine. All is love, all is light. All is love, all is light. All is love, all is light. All of me pure light divine. All of me designed to perfection. All of me beautiful and sacred. All of me a wonder, expression of the infinite. All of me pure light divine. All is love, all is light. All is love, all is light. All is love, all is light. All of me pure light divine. All is love, all is light. 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 All is love.
Now it's time for our abundance affirmation. So if you would say it with me, please. I open myself to receive great prosperity, health, and healing. Gratefully, I receive the gift I am seeking. I accept my good and send it on to bless all humanity. I am thankful to be so richly supplied and so able to serve. I am fully blessed, and so it is. Excuse me. So now it's time to give a beautiful, greatly appreciated acknowledgement to those who have served us today. And I would like to first thank our tech team, which is Nancy, Stacy, and Susan. Yes. I would also like to thank our musicians. Their talent has given us our musical inspiration. That would be Eddie Watkins Jr. and Amber Darland. I also want to thank Alice. Thank you so much for your talk and your wisdom, sharing that with us each Sunday. Thank you very much. And I also want to thank you guys. Thank you for being here with us, joining us today. We are so blessed by your presence and your energy. And if you found this helpful, giving to your lives, we invite you to support the center with your gifts. And there are many ways to do that, and they are listed on the screen. And we also have a UR code. And you in the sanctuary, I would like it, you may also make a gift contribution in the bowl at the back of the sanctuary. You may know by now that there are 4 ways to connect with us during the service on Sundays. They are listed on the screen as well, but you can actually, if you want to be in person, you can actually RSVP to our website or call the center, 831-462-9383. We also have a Zoom channel, 831-000-1818, passcode 1818. I also want to remind you that we are now providing meditation before the service, and you can join us in the back garden, weather permitting, of course. And that starts at 10 a.m. So we have a talk after the talk, as usual. And today, Reverend Elijah Christopher is going to be joining us for the talk after the talk, 30 minutes, starting right after the service. If you're watching on Zoom, you're already there. Also, join Alice and the rest of us after the service in the garden. Feel free to bring your lawn chairs. Join us for a furthering of our community in fellowship. So our up-and-coming events are listed on the screen, and you can see a summary of our announcements. And our speaker next week is going to be Reverend Alice, and our music next week will be by Jamie Lula. And for now, bless yourselves. I bless you. Have a great week.